Hello Internet, I am Firebolt and welcome to a brand new series, Civilization 5. Yeah, so let's get straight into this. I like to play a very particular way though. I like to play as Rome generally. We'll go through a few of the interesting civilizations. Greece is quite interesting with city-states, but I don't actually tend to play with city-states because of them. I know it's petty and I probably shouldn't be like fixing it to find out. I will allow city-states because it feels like I'm fixing it in my favour if I just go, nah, we won't allow them because then I'll lose. That feels like a bit of a sore loser move. Triple gold, that sounds pretty good, but that's from barbarians and stuff, and I'm not generally a person that built up their military in this. I tend to go towards science, culture possibly, but I've not made much progress with that in the past. I play as Rome, and although they don't have a science bonus, production towards buildings that have already exist in the capital is very useful. You can build like academies and shit that boost science and all the other things, so it's very useful. Only buildings though, which is why, well, it isn't why, I just can't go with all the military stuff. I tend to make friends with everyone and try to get them to gang up on the bullies of the map. I will do a little bit of the faith stuff, it's just that I'm not too interested in the religion part, but I will found my own, because that's quite useful with the bonuses. Yeah, I think should just stick with Rome because I'm most used to them too. Map type, like to go with Earth. Although I already know what all the land masses are going to look like, you have no idea where you're starting and it's quite a fun game to try and figure that out. Oh, and you may have noticed that in the title of this video it'll have a little subtitle because now that's going to be something that we're doing for series. Apart from Lego Dimensions isn't going to have that, it's just the next series will. So we're just going to name them properly. It'll differentiate between Civilization Part 1 and Civilization Part 3, because you'll see a sort of vague title to do with what actually happened in that episode. And like it as big as it can go, I actually add more players than 12. I would like to go for normal difficulty, and I want this to be a fair length series, probably aiming around 20 episodes, and from research I did online that's about an epic match, and that's generally what I play on because it feels sort of a good pace. Epic I think is a good amount of time to establish connections with other players and, well, other AI players, and also just to get things done. It seems like a more realistic timescale. Not doing marathon because I did that once and it took me a day or two to get to, I think it was the classical era. I'm generally not the best at this game, I've only won once. I blanked out all the people, I've deleted a bunch that I had. The way that I like to play this is I play with all the G20 countries, because that feels like, oh, these are the modern people. I'll allow any type of victory and we'll have 24 city-state because you have like max of them. It's a bit crowded, the map, even on a huge map, especially with I think it's 22 civs the max, including Rome. We won't allow max turns because I want to actually finish the game with a satisfactory ending. Allow policy saving, that's fine. Promotion saving, that's fine. Complete kills, I mean, it might just keep people alive for too long. Yeah, I did have that once with someone's cities had all been raised and they had no way to start again. They just had a soldier or a scout running about. Disable start bias. We don't want starts to be completely random. We want it to be fair because they start you in places with fair enough resources rather than just starting in the middle of the desert. I don't like barbarians. They're very annoying in the early game, and I know they could sort of inspire you to build a military. It's probably why I don't do it often. It's just they're a pain in the arse. I just can't be bothered actually clearing out the encampment even though you get money for it. We'll allow people to raise cities because sometimes cities can be more painful with people that they bring and unhappiness. We'll allow espionage. That means that you can steal other people's technologies, although that's usually not a problem for me because I really go for science and usually the most advanced person, if not second. I quite like them having normal personalities, although that usually ends up with England getting really pissy with me because I'm trying to get people to gang together and go to war against the bullies of the map, but they see that as being a warmonger, even though they probably as big a warmonger in real history. First person on this list that counts us from the G20 would be Rome, but we are playing as that would be Italy. So we'll have Germany next, and also since there are 22, there's 20 in the G20 obviously, one of them being the European Union, so we'll have someone to substitute there. We'll add a few extra fun ones. Russia, that would be next. England, United Kingdom. Indonesia, Gandhi with India. Also, if Gandhi gets to the nuclear age, there was an old glitch in the first Civ game where like each character had a personality where they'd be really aggressive, and when the nuclear age comes in, everyone becomes less aggressive because it's a deterrent. But because Gandhi's was already so low, a glitch made that go from, I think it was like 1 or 2, back all the way up to 10 because it went into negatives, which became 10. Which means that they've kept that going as a joke, which means he will destroy you and your entire civilization if you let him get to nuclear age, or you're not friends with him. Generally he's quite friendly in the early game though. Arabia, Saudi Arabia. Now, there is no Canada in the game, so we have to have a sort of tribe that was there. The Iroquois I think is the best fitted to that, I can see, so we'll go with the Iroquois for Canada. There is no Argentina in this game, and there's no tribe really close to it, so I have to default to Spain because they colonized the place and made it more into what it is today. So I'll go for Spain there. Now, a really annoying one is Australia, which I believe is next. Indonesia, the closest place, I think, that is a civilization. That's already taken in the G20. So the next closest place is the Pacific, really. So you have to go for Polynesia, despite the fact that they're completely culturally different and have very little to do. I think Australia might have tried a bit of colonizing, I don't know. But we'll go with Polynesia for Australia, despite the fact that it has nothing to do with it. Aztecs, they work for Mexico. We'll have France there, Japan, Brazil, Korea, just acting as South Korea. The Zulus sort of have to act as South Africa. I don't know if that's slightly offensive, I don't know. Yeah, Turkey, they're represented by the Ottomans. Also Big Bag America. Okay, and then China. So we need someone to represent the EU. Now, Belgium, that's not a civilization, in this game at least. So the closest place to that geographically is the Netherlands, which there is a civilization for it, so I tend to add them as that. Okay, and we'll add a few more fun ones. I'll add Greece in. Despite the whole city-state thing, I'll add Greece in because they're generally they're quite dicks because they really like expansion, and they have like 20 cities mid-game. And we'll have Mongolia with Genghis Khan because historically the largest in area civilization, I believe. So there you go, those are 22, and I don't think you can add any more. Nope. I know a fair amount of people who watch the channel are very aware of Civilization, have played it, and are probably better at it than me. But some of you might have no idea what this is, or how many of it works, so I'll try to explain best as I can what's going on, rather than you just having no clue what any of these figures mean, like plus 25 to production. I imagine you can find out what that means. Basically the speed at which you make buildings or soldiers or that sort of thing. Yeah, science, that's the speed at which you research new technologies which can unlock new buildings, new ways to communicate with other civilizations, new ways to travel, new soldier types, which is quite important in the war thing. Oh, apparently I've just found the Rock of Gibraltar and I've started right next to it, so that's a bonus happiness for me, and that's permanent, and if I work that I get a fair amount of money too and some food. If that's Rock of Gibraltar over there, because this is Earth and the locations of natural wonders are realistic to the actual Earth, that would mean I'm around about Morocco area. Anyway, so we should probably found a city as soon as possible. A coastal city is actually quite useful, so it's probably actually best to start here. There's a fair amount of food around here, and enough production in the forest once I unlock a lumber mill. Food grows your population. I'll quickly get my research tab open because I quite like just that being there. So I have a settler here. That means I can found a city wherever that settler is, as long as it's not in enemy territory. And I have a warrior here. They're my sort of basic soldier, the first one that you get. Like I said, fairly good resources here, and some wheat there, some crabs there. They can be worked for extra happiness. Well, wheat is just extra food, I think. And again, coastal cities, very useful, especially for trade once you get that unlocked. So found Rome here. That would probably be a good idea. That I've lost the mystery of finding out where I am with the Rock of Gibraltar, because that's very obvious there. Anyway, so now I've got a city. In each city you can choose a production. My economic advisor is recommending building a monument. Now, A monument boosts your culture. Culture does a number of things. You see there's 0 out of 35. When that reaches 35, I get a new social policy, which is like I'll show you what it is basically. You can adopt one of these trees. So say I went for Liberty, that's usually the first one that I go to. These are unlocked in later areas. If I go to Liberty, it says, oh right, we'll get +1 culture in every city. So that means you will get more social policies. And also culture grows your cities. So after a certain amount of turns, you will gain tiles out of your city. Only up to, I think, 3 away from the central city. So I've already got 1 away from the central city, just a hex around me. But that'll expand out into, what would it be? I can't be bothered figuring out what that would be. Okay, so we can't do anything with that right now, but that's just showing what culture does. Happiness? I don't know if that does anything with a higher number, it's just sort of keeping away from unhappiness. Unhappiness slows down the population growth rate and I believe production rate. Oh, and that settler has disappeared because it's just basically become the city. It's quite small to begin with, that's not what Rome looks like. But as it expands, you'll see the city expand, and I can, once I get workers and stuff, start putting tile improvements here to get the resources that I don't have these resources right now. The only resources I have, I believe, are on this hill that the city is on, so 2 production extra and 2 food. 2 production extra, I'm guessing those for production from somewhere. Can you fuck off? Yeah, so the palace gives me extra stuff as well, so that's why I'm researching stuff at least. Generally you start using this vaguely as a scout to begin with, because you don't have anything else to go and explore. I'll choose production first. Monument, I don't think it's worth at this point. I think it would be worth getting a scout. Oh no, I don't know, you can change that, and it saves progress if you've already done a bit on it, but I'll go for a worker. Even though it's going to take a long time, it will be worth it in the long run, just getting that production in early to speed up other stuff. Mining, that's not really useful around here. There's very little in the way of hills around my city. Is that a hill? Yes, that is. I could technically mine that, and that gives me the ability to chop forests, which would also be useful. That's once I've gotten a worker. Only a worker can build improvements, and I think legions for the Romans can build roads and forts. Pottery, a granary is quite useful for food. Wheat increases by 1. I think I'll go for mining first. Oh, and also I like to go for the wonders early, even if that screws me over a little by just taking a long time to produce anything. Later on it really helps just to get that extra boost from a wonder. Wonders give you a fair amount, like 10% growth, plus 10% growth, and plus 15% production with range units for the Temple of Artemis. That's quite useful, but I don't tend to bother with military, so it's quite meh. Although I do become quite strong along the late game because of science. So go with mining there, that'll be done as soon as my worker is done too. Unit needs orders, this warrior needs orders. We'll move him vaguely in that direction because there might be civilizations down here. Movement points. If going onto a hill, that takes up all the warriors' movement points. Scouts can bypass through any kind of terrain with no cost, but if it's like a flat plain like desert or just plains, then the warrior would be able to just cross fine. The mountains you can't cross. Ooh, also, because I'm like right next to a mountain, I'll be able to build observatories here. I don't know if your main city has to be right next to a mountain or you can just have one in your territory, but I hope it's the latter. So right now, we don't know who any of these people are yet, technically. We don't know where any of those are. Generally at this point in the game it's quite quick. Later on that will take longer because they're doing more complicated stuff and more stuff. And also time does tick along, so if you try and sort of stay in actual advancements that happen, then that will generally put you on a good path. Or before that, then that will put you on a good path. A culture victory, basically, your culture is so good and there's a lot of tourism there that you've sort of infected, a little weird word, but I guess it is infected other people's cultures. It's kind of a weird victory for a civilization. It's just like we can't kill them because they make good art and science is just building that rocket. I think I said that. You get a space victory by building a rocket and you have to get quite advanced there and also have the production to build the parts for the rocket, and then you've won a science victory. Domination victory. Now, I'm not entirely sure how that works. I believe you have to have half of the other player's capitals, I'm not sure. That little star there means it's my capital. And if you remember, any buildings here will be produced faster in other cities if it's already been built here. So now I can move this guy this way. So just found a lot of incense down here, which is worth a lot of money if I can work it. Need a calendar though, which isn't one of my available researches right now. Also stone here, that will be useful if I expand that way, and my city will naturally expand that way, and also to this incense, since it's 1, 2, 3 tiles away, eventually I'll expand to this incense, and also to that marble. There's a lot of useful stuff here. And also if I work the Rock of Gibraltar, if I can ferry my guys over there enough, then that'll be very useful. Oh, and there is another type of victory that I didn't mention, that is a diplomatic victory. So once someone's invented the printing press and met every other player, they can start the World Congress. Basically, everyone gets to vote on things that happen. You can come up with resolutions to like ban crabs for whatever reason, or to say you can't trade with that person, and then you can't trade with that person, and it cripples them because you don't want them to succeed economically. So you use your vote wisely to implement things that you want. But you can get more votes if you gain the favour of city-states. At some point city-states get a vote, and they will do whatever you say. If you're influential enough with a city-state, then you'll get their vote. Well, there's a vote that you can enable, which is to become world leader, to vote on a world leader. It's like for every 30 turns, I think. And if they get the majority of the votes, then they become world leader and win a diplomatic victory. You can continue after any of these victories, apart from maybe domination if they've crushed your civilization. I'll just continue to explore my way down south, see if I find anyone. I'm just finding loads of useful stuff in the desert, and I found Antwerp, my first city-state that I met. They meet me first, so they give me a little gold. You don't use that to actually build things, but you'll use that to maintain your army and tile improvements. And also if you want to buy buildings, which is something that you can do if you amass enough money, you can do that. Right, so these guys, they're a trader city, Antwerp. They have sugar, cotton and jewelry, and if I become their ally, then I'll get that. But they're quite hostile, which means that I'll have to do more things for them. And also they want me to capture neighbouring city-states, which I can't really be arsed with them unless they're generally quite useful. But I found them, and they're my first sort of person I met. I might find civilizations down south again. I'll use a scout once I get them to just go west. But eventually once you get sailing, you just sort of collect civilizations, and it's good to start the World Congress first because you get 2 votes if you start it. And until someone can get more votes than you, which for city-states is possible, then you've got just 2 votes there. Oh, who's that? England. Oh, that dickheads. We won't make a joint declaration of friendship because they'll immediately go, oh no, that's not allowed. We can't actually trade with anything with them because I don't think they have anything. We can only trade money. If we're just trading money back and forth, then it's kind of useless. So we don't have anything to trade. We won't denounce them, we have no reason to. But they might become friends with us if they're the first person that we meet and we don't actually start any wars before they're our friend. But in each game I've had, there's been different dickheads. I think the Zulus are generally quite aggressive. In my first game, Greece was the most aggressive and sort of the big villain. Although Sweden was part of a big war against them, and then they suddenly left the war and turned on America. So I tend to start the world wars by diplomacy because everyone's my friend in this game, not in real life. Just continue south, see if we can find London. I'm guessing that's London since it's red and owned by England, and I doubt they found a city already, a second one at least. Also, if you're crossing a river, that's a movement point. That's just that your entire move over, I think. But I can cross over anyway because there's a flat plain there. I'll see if there are any other civilizations down this far south. I probably shouldn't be leaving my city that undefended, but since there's no barbarians, I don't think I have to really worry about England's single warrior attacking me because the city does have a little bit of defense. So a lot of these early turns will just be me moving away. Oh, that's someone new. I think that's the Iroquois. Yes. So acting as Canada. If you try and make a friendship with someone immediately, even if it's fucking Gandhi, he won't do that immediately. You have to know them for a little bit to even try that. And if you say that initially, then it will blank out that option for a little while. See if he has anything to trade. Just money. So I'll just say goodbye. We'll just go down into the jungle. I believe we found the coast of, what would that be? Nigeria, I think. Hiawatha's just going over to meet Elizabeth. Although they have spearmen already. Those are like the next level up. Maybe they found them in some ruins, I don't know. Now the coast here is a bit thick with jungle, so I should probably get back into the desert so I can travel faster. Just have a quick check on the progress of my build. 10 more turns. Oh, and also as you can see there, there's a countdown until a new citizen is born. They can work tiles and actually give you the resources. If you don't have citizens there, then they don't work the tiles. So you see in this screen, citizen management, you got 1 working this tile by default because there's 2 food there and 2 production there. But if I place a farm here, that will increase, and especially since there's wheat there. I could send them out to work on the crabs, but meh, I'll do that with my second citizen if that isn't done automatically. Although generally getting a little bit more production might not be a bad idea. I'll do that once I get a mine there, or in one of these places if it naturally expands there. Now border growth, like I said, is controlled by culture, and it will tend to go towards the most useful thing, but you can buy tiles too with money that you gain up. So naturally it's going to expand to the Rock of Gibraltar because that's a very useful thing to work, because it's got a lot of money in it and a little bit of food. Just keep heading west, I think. If I get a scout, I'll head west in the north, and I'll just go through like Central Africa here. There's not really anything to worry about being invaded just yet until there's massive wars. I slightly forgot my research is matched up with the worker, so that's going to take 8 turns, although 7 once this turn's passed. Oh, apparently 5. Because Rome has grown, I'm assuming research speed has sped up. Yeah, they've naturally gone on to crabs because there's a little bit of food there. They tend to really like food, and there's a little bit of gold there too. So I imagine next time they'll go for one of the production ones because it's more useful than just 1 food. Oh, you can also set it so that it doesn't try and actually grow the population, because you can starve your population, which makes them unhappy, I believe. The more citizens you have, the more unhappy people are generally, because of like overcrowding or something. But right now citizens are happy. Natural resources, well, like special ones, wheat won't make you that happy, it just gives you extra food, but cotton, dyes, that sort of stuff will give you extra happiness as long as you have it. Same if you have it through a treasury. Just keep heading west. Why do I keep saying west? I mean east. I'm a fucking idiot. I'll go up this way because there seems to be hills there. I'll go down here since Iroquois is already there. There might not be. They try and space you out a little bit, I think, for a balanced start. So we have now got mining research, so we'll pick a new technology. Masonry won't be useful to me unless I want to build the pyramids, which it's only useful to me if I get the culture thing, so I won't bother with that yet. But would trade route be that useful? Pasture is not useful for me. Oh, faith might be a bit useful. I'll go for pottery because a few people are recommending it. You get these advisors that recommend various things, and a granary is quite useful. The shrine for faith is useful for later on, so we'll research pottery for that. Just keep heading east. You can't. A bunch of mountains there. I should probably go south a bit then. Your basic units at some point can, once you research sailing, your basic units can embark on their own ship. Just you don't have to build a separate ship. Your own units can embark on their own ship to go onto the water, so they can cross places. So I can't actually go to Spain yet, I don't think, but it's quite later on that you actually learn to get into the oceans with the Renaissance. Oh, I met Sophia. They're hostile too. Great. Apparently I'm the first great empire they've met. The Iroquois didn't bother to come this way, so that's useful. And they have a fair amount here too. How do you get furs there? No idea. Not something that you'd typically associate with Africa, but I guess like hide and stuff. So I'm amassing quite a bit of money, so I could, if I wanted to, which I probably don't, in Rome, just say, oh hey, let's buy one of these, although I don't have enough money for them yet. And also it's probably good to save up money because it's very useful for trade too, especially if your happiness is quite low. You can trade if you have like excess of a resource. Say I had 2 crabs, which I might do once this expands. I don't need one of those crabs because 1 crab gives me enough happiness, so you don't get 8 happiness for both of them, but you can then gift that to someone else. They get the happiness and they'll probably give you money or another resource. Although the trading in this game, god, people are so stuck up their own arse. They think like 3 of their luxury resources are worth the same as 1 of yours. We'll get a scout because they'll be useful for exploring up here. Generally in the early game I try to explore as much as possible. Farm here, there you go for the farm, because there's a little bit of production there too. And we'll get extra food here, so we'll construct a farm here. They'll do their own thing for a couple of turns, and then we'll come back to that. Keep an eye on money though, but we can get more from, say, the Rock of Gibraltar, then that'll be very useful. We'll just continue eastward, and then go south, because we can't go for a fucking mountain. Oh, apparently we've met, Korea. Don't know where. They might have just come across my city or my warrior. See if there's anything he can trade. Not yet. I think he could trade wheat. I'm not sure. They're classed as a strategic resource, I think. There's a big help book for anyone who actually wants to buy this game and has no idea how it works, because there is a tutorial, but I've never played it, so I don't know how useful it is. No, I don't think it would be classed as strategic resource. Strategic resources tend to be things that help you build units like iron or horses, because horses are useful for cavalry and iron is useful for swords and shit. And you can't actually build those without those resources. Just keep going south, see what civilizations or city-states I can meet. None of the city-states have issued me a quest yet. Can't really do anything with them yet. But Greece is fucking annoying with them, because they get, I think, their influence stays with them twice as long. And both of the city-states I've met have been hostile, which is really annoying. Yeah, this is quite a different thing to Uncharted, because it's sort of actually make your own story, and it's different every time. Try out different games, I think, and I quite enjoy this game. And plus, you won't get any spoilers from this, because say it's make your own story sort of thing. Well, you don't really have much of a choice in where the story goes. If you shit at the game, then the story goes badly for you. There's usually... I think that's Mongolia, yeah. There's usually 3 or 4 civilizations on Africa, I think. Usually about 2 in Europe, a fair few in Asia, considering its size. There's like 1 in Australia usually, 3 or 4 again in South America and North America. You can't settle in Antarctica, unfortunately. Again, we can't really make friends with him yet. I don't know where we met Korea, so maybe they just sort of briefly met us and they're sort of around here, or maybe I just sort of briefly met them with my warrior, I don't know. Right, so I finished my scout, so I can go looking that way. Might be worth looking at that monument, or a settler. Oh, is that worth it at this point? I'm gonna try the settler. Maybe a little bit risky at this point. So there's what would their capital be? It's not Ulaanbaatar, because that's the modern capital. Karakorum, probably. So scout, just start heading this way, see what we can find. Oh, you get little notifications here. That means that someone started on religion and they've founded a pantheon. They've gone for the god of war. We don't know who that is, so it's clearly not anyone that we've met so far. But they've gone for god of war, which means if they win battle within 4,000 city, they gain extra faith. So that might be an indication of what kind of civilization they are, which probably isn't good. We'll try and we'll see if we can actually cross the lake, because I can't remember at this point in the game if you can before actually researching sailing. I imagine you'd have to research sailing first. Yeah, you'd have to research sailing first. I can't get open borders with them because you have to research something else to go that way, which means I have to go back up north because I can't actually bypass their territory. Ooh, some wine there. Another pantheon has been founded. Ah! Hiawatha wants to be friends, which means that other people might also want to be friends once we meet them. Elizabeth, maybe not. She tends to be a bit tentative with those sorts of things, but we'll ask her. But now we're getting declaration of friendship, we can start becoming a diplomatic powerhouse and beat Greece to it with the city-states, hopefully. But Greece is going to be a tough one to beat on that, and also in terms of war, because they're quite good at it. Oh, apparently growth is stagnant right now in my city. Why? Where's the other one gone? Oh, right, the other one's gone to the Rock of Gibraltar, hence why I've got a little bit more money. And once that farm's finished, it'll probably stop stagnating. Maybe it wasn't a great idea to get a settler at this point. I don't know, might get more food and then I can trade that once I get trade up and running. Although I should probably build a granary. I might cancel that and just start that another time, and because you can just continue it, I think. But that's especially useful if you're building a wonder and a massive war breaks out and you have to just stop, and then when you come back, if someone else hasn't built it, which tends to be the fucking case because jammy swords. I haven't seen any ruins yet. I don't know if I actually set them to be on. So this worker, probably good to go here for a little bit of production, because that's a hill, and because we research mining we can make that into a mine and also chop down that forest. Although that farm apparently hasn't stopped the stagnation in Rome. That's somewhat concerning. I might actually have to make a farm out of one of these so that keeps growing, because otherwise I only have 2 systems to work things, and I need more food to grow that so I can actually get the production in the first place. That's a really annoying reality. Although at some point when I research something, food yield will increase massively anyway, and then that just ceases to be a problem somehow. Also, there are like demographics you can look at. So best population right now is 48,000. That's apparently I've got 6,000 people, which is the same as the worst. So, and I'm ranked 9th, so I'm guessing everyone after me has also got 6,000. Crop yield 7 million apparently. Production wise, I think second, yeah. Best GMP though, from that fucking Rock of Gibraltar bitch. Literacy, that's to do with science, but also you get 0% literacy if you haven't researched writing. So it might be worth getting like straight away for science. Oh, I'm tempted. Or I could go for sailing. Oh, they want me to get animal husbandry. Writing, I want the science straight away, and also allow me diplomacy with embassies at an extra level of that. We found Quebec City. Oh no, actually quite a useful one, because they try to mind their own business, so they're not quite as hostile as the one that we met so far. I can see a city-state down here, I believe. See what they are. Kiev. Personality irrational, they're just random. I was trying to build a farm here. Can I not build a farm here? Oh, it's a hill. So no, I can't. And they're all hills. That might be a problem. And that's the best tile to really be working at this point. So I'm a bit fucked. So yeah, that's a little introduction to this. I genuinely don't know how long this series is going to go on for, but I'm aiming about 20. See how it goes, really. Hopefully some more interesting stuff begins to happen as we find our way around the world, and writing that will help us become the best at science and also get that literacy up. Also, a lot of money, so we're the rich guys already. The Iroquois have announced that they're protecting that city, so if I do anything to that city, because you can attack and invade these cities, then they'll have a go at me, but they're my friend. I'll quickly make some connections with people I've already met, just to see if they want to be my friend. Come on. Not in her interest, apparently. She's unfriendly. Xizong? Yeah, I don't know how friendly is. I don't tend to start next to him. Premature. Yeah. And I'm guessing Genghis Khan would say the same thing, because we met him last. Yeah. I've got one friend. An unlikely alliance between Italy and Canada. Well, Rome and the Uruguay. Anyway, I've been Firebolt, and this has been Civilization Part 1. Thanks for watching. We'd really appreciate it if you support us on various things, obviously subscribing on YouTube, Twitch, following us on Twitter or Facebook. We have a Discord server that you can join and talk to us and other people, and a website where you can check out blog posts.
And obviously this isn't free for us to run, so if you'd like to support us financially, we have a Patreon page where you can donate monthly and get subscriber rewards. We also have a Stream Elements tipping page where you can make one-off donations. The links are all in the description.
Farewell.
See you next time.